We're going to talk about solving systems of linear equations. Again, you can solve the system of linear equations by finding a point that will make both of the equations true. The solution will be a point, so it must be given as an ordered pair. You want to make sure that you give both the x value and the y value and use those parentheses so that you actually have it notated correctly. Again, I will encourage you to check your answers by substituting your found ordered pair into both equations. And when you do that, you should have true statements. So this video is going to focus on solving by elimination, which means that you're going to eliminate one variable within the system by finding and making opposite coefficients. This will allow you to eliminate one variable and solve for the other. Okay, so if we look at the first example here, we have negative 4x minus 2y equals negative 12, and we have that 4x plus 8y equals negative 24. And if I look at this closely, I can see that I already have opposite coefficients here for one specific variable. Okay, so the opposite coefficients are this negative 4x and this positive 4x. So when we add opposites, we get a 0, right? They eliminate each other, which is the point of the elimination method. So the point is to actually eliminate a variable, and then we can easily solve for the second variable. So if I have already negative 4x minus 2y equals 12, and positive 4x plus 8y equals negative 24, I can easily solve for y, because if I add these two equations together, if I add these equations together, I have that negative 4x plus 4x, that's going to cancel each other out. So I'm left with negative 2y plus 6y, which would be a positive negative 2y plus 8y would give me a positive 6y, and then negative 12 plus a negative 24 would give me a negative 36. So 6y equals negative 36. Well, I can easily divide both sides by 6, and I would get that y equals negative 6. So if y equals negative 6, what does x equal? Well, I just have to substitute it back into one of my two equations to find that out. So we like dealing with, it doesn't really matter, we can deal with either one of them. Let's just look at the first equation here. So I have negative 4x minus 2 times negative 6, because I'm going to substitute a negative 6 in for y, and this equals negative 12. So I have negative 4x minus, what is 2 times negative 6? A negative 12 equals negative 12. So negative 4x plus 12 equals negative 12, because minus a negative becomes a positive. So then I'm going to subtract 12 from each side, and when I do that, these 12s here cancel. So I have negative 4x equals negative 24, because negative 12 minus 12 is negative 24. Now I would divide both sides by negative 4, and I get that x equals 6. So my solution to this set of equations, to this system of equations, is that x equals 6 from down here, and y equals negative 6. So if x equals 6 and y equals negative 6, I now have my solution to this system of equations. But I really should check my solution, make sure that it works. So let's pick a different color to work with, and let's check them. If I substitute my found answer for my first equation, I have negative 4 times 6 minus 2 times negative 6, and that should equal negative 12. Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24, minus 2 times negative 6 is negative 12, minus a negative becomes a positive, so I have negative 24 plus 12, and that does equal a negative 12. So I know that I am correct. Now let's substitute it into the second equation. just to verify, so I would have 4 times 6 plus 8 times negative 6 equals negative 24. 4 times 6 is positive 24. 8 times negative 6 is negative 48. So 24 plus a negative 48 would be a negative 24. And negative 24 equals negative 24. So I know that that solution is also a true solution. Okay, if we look at this second equation here, I've got 8x plus 14y equals 4, and negative 6x minus 7y equals negative 10. Now I do not have a set of opposite coefficients for a variable, so I need to make it. Okay, so if I look at this closely, the best relationship that I have is going to be between this negative 7 and this positive 14. Okay, because I need opposite coefficients, I just need to make them, and I can do that by multiplication. Now if I multiply my second equation through by 2, I will have opposite coefficients. But remember, whatever you do to one side of your equation, you must do to the other as well. So if I'm going to multiply my second equation by 2, I need to multiply both sides. So my first equation would remain is 8x plus 14y equals 4. But my second equation would become 2 times negative 6x is negative 12x. 2 times negative 7y is negative 14y. And 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. Okay, so you just need to make it opposite. You need to make one of your coefficients the opposite by using multiplication. So now I can finish this, I can finish solving this system of equations. So I can see here that I have this positive 14y and a negative 14y. So if I add my equations together, these will indeed cancel out. So I have eliminated a variable. So what is 8x minus 12x? Well, it should be a negative 4x. And 4 minus 20 is a negative 16. And now I can solve by dividing both sides by negative 4. So x equals a positive 4. So if x equals a positive 4, what does y equal? Well, you're going to want to go back to your original equations just in case you made a mistake. You don't want to use your new equation that you found in case you made some mathematical error. So go back to your original equation to solve. So if I substitute a 4 for my x, I would have 8 times 4 plus 14y equals 4. I'm going to zoom in a little so I can use better handwriting. So 8 times 4 is 32. So I have 32 plus 14y equals 4. So I would subtract 32 from each side. I get 14y equals a negative 28. And then I would divide both sides by 14. So y equals negative 2. So my answer, or my solution for this system, should be 4, negative 2. Okay, but let's verify it. And we're going to verify it by checking. Okay, so if I check this, again, I'm going to use my original equation. Let's go to... So let's check it. Let's use the first equation. So we would have 8 times 4 plus 14 times negative 2, and that should equal 4. So 8 times 4 is 32, plus 14 times negative 2 is negative 28, and 32 plus a negative 28 is 4. So 4 equals 4. So that one works. And now in my second equation, I've got negative 6 times 4, because that's my x value, minus 7 times negative 2, because that's my y value, and that should equal negative 10. So negative 6 times 4 is negative 24, minus 7 times negative 2 is negative 14, and that should equal negative 10. Some pretty awful handwriting. So negative 24 minus a negative becomes a positive, 14 equals negative 10. Negative 24 plus 14 is negative 10. Negative 10 equals negative 10. So that solution works for the second equation as well. Okay, so my solution would be for negative 2.